Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Race and Social Weekend Preview. As normal, we're going to go through the ITV races. As you can see, it's just the two of us again, Dawn. Bit of a common thing, this. I don't think anyone likes us, but hey, we carry on, don't we?
Exactly. And I mean, nobody has to like us when we're smashing in winners, Joe. So, but both sides of the pond. Like I say, the hips and the tips don't lie.
And we have got some fantastic guests for the Cheltenham Festival previews coming up, haven't we? So we won't reveal them yet, but all good stuff in the pipeline, isn't there?
Lots of good. And I mean, we're getting excited now. 4 weeks and chomping at the bit. And the guests that we have, they're actually throwing up really, really good winners too. I mean, even today, there was some very good winners from a couple of them. So yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be juicy.
And then before we start off in the this weekend's race, if you don't mind, we're going to just have a quick chat, and hopefully you're going to be nice to some of last weekend's results. And we'll start off with my mate Hitman. Again, he ran a good race, runner-up again. Zanza, course specialist, he probably ran a career best. I don't know where he's pulled that from, but in the main, I was quite pleased with Hitman going forward. I did have a slight bleed again, which is a bit of a worrying sign, but it was only slight. But it's all systems go for Ryanair, I understand. So what did you make of Hitman?
I thought he was going to win, Joe. I really, really did. And I know we spoke about his little issue, which Paul looks like he has in hand now, which is great to see, because we often say, like, with poor old Lorena, it's the equivalent of drowning for a horse when they bleed. So it was great to see him run such a good race. But then what did we say afterwards? Where the hell did Zanza come from? And isn't it only brilliant? We talked about Willie's 4,000, but Philip Hobbs hitting his 3,000. It was just and only brilliant that Zanza did it too, because he is a course specialist. He seems to bloody live there, But Hitman, it was a good run, and you used the word almost. And they say in life some of the saddest words are almost, but I'd rather have an almost second than a pulled up or an almost last, that way. So I'll give him respect. I mean, I gave my heart and soul to him, because I was completely all for him for the King George. But now I kind of go, well, the Ryanair now with the main man out of it, he's worth. Well, do you know what price he is, Joe, for the Ryanair?
25s. I
mean, would you mind him each way if he ran the way he ran last week? I wouldn't.
No.
And again, like I say, it's great. The main thing is that his little problem is fixed too. So he was a decent second. That's what we'll say. We'll take that.
Just while we're on Hitman, I just want to speak about Harry Cobden. Obviously, you've got experience riding horses and stuff like that. When I watch Harry Cobden over a fence, I don't know what it is, but he is so smooth. When he produces them at the fence, and when he doesn't seem to flinch. When they jump, he's just like so still. He's so quiet in the saddle, isn't he?
Yeah, it's nearly like he's at one with the horse.
Really is.
And it's often spoken about, and Sir Henry used to speak about it, about horse men and women and jockeys. And I'd say, without saying, Joe, you can tell even now, past and present, who are the horsemen and women and who are the jockeys. That they're nearly at one with the horse. And it is, if you are at one with your horse, we talk about Bryony and Froden, they are completely at one. We talk about Darrell and Bristol, who we'll see at the weekend. They are completely at one. The same with Harry, like you're saying, and I've noticed a couple of people talking about it. He's just, him and the horse are at one. And whether it comes with experience, time or whatever, but then you could see, a jockey who's at it 25, 30 years and you won't see the same thing. I think it proves that he is a real horseman. It's like that Oisin came back tonight and he won at Chelmsford, and he's now taken out his jumps license as well, and people are saying, oh, will he go to Cheltenham? But he has been show jumping as well, and he's another example of somebody who is a horseman as well. You can nearly see him him count the paces before they hit over the jump as well. So like that, I get you completely with what about Harry. He is at one with his horse.
Yeah, I love watching him. Also last weekend, John Bon, he got a lot of stick, and we've spoken about this before. We're both in the Al Fabiolo camp, but I think John Bon was treated a bit unfairly last week. I think he just got a bit lazy, didn't he?
I think he got lazy. I think all of us from Racing Social, it kind of lit up afterwards. And I know Matty thought that he was piggy, which John Bon, I think, can be a bit piggy. Now, he could only beat what was in front of him and behind him. Had Gary Moore's horse, Haydock's, blah, 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 turned up, I think he would have put more of a race to him. Calico was so brave. And for a moment, I thought Calico had him.
Yeah.
But he came back. And that's what you probably wanted to see. Although it was a 2-horse race, you wanted John Bon not to spit the dummy out, but to come back. And fair dues to Aidan too, that he said, now come on, boy, wake up. It's the Kingmaker. You need to prove that, you're going to put it to El Fabiola. Now, we're both obsessed with El Fabiola, and what we've seen in the Irish Arkle was fantastic. That's probably one of the best races I think I've seen of really good horses. But unfortunately, because of the way Mother Nature is treating us at the moment, we only had to. And what was John Bon to do? I know there was discussions that there was booing afterwards. I have no time for that. He's a star, that horse. He has paid a lot of people's mortgages. He has given a lot. El Fabiola, let's not forget, he was only beaten by a neck by John Bon. So I'm excited to see what comes in March. I really, really am. I want to see the two of them grinding it out. But I wouldn't throw the John Bon out with my anti-posts. I am El Fabiola.
Yeah.
But I think people were hitting the panic button too soon. He won his race. He grinded it out. And what else was he to do? You gave him nothing else. You had Calico and that was it. So I think in March, we're in for a treat.
Yeah, let's hope they both get there and have a proper tear up. Another from the Ireland on Sunday, Blazing Cal was all the rage after coming back with victory. I personally can't have him in the stayers. I think there's 3 or 4 better chances than him. Obviously, I love Gelino Bello. His hurdling form last year ties in nicely with Gelino Bello, and he's done absolutely nothing this year. So I don't think the form's that strong. He's definitely one I'll be taking on. What about Blazing Cal for you? Is he a contender, or is it a bit of an overreaction?
It seemed to be a weekend of overreactions, that way. Was I impressed? Yeah. Do I like the horse a lot? Yes. He seems to be a real favourite of people. You say Blazing Cal, and there's kind of like this mist that comes over people. He was a steal at 5-1. I was kicking myself. But my heart always lies with Delta, that way. He was very good. That's what I have to say. He was very good. It was 50-50, and even Charles had said there was a few false dawns with him that he was going to, because 2 weeks previously, Charles was saying it was 50-50 whether Blazing Cal would get to Cheltenham even. Now is he second favourite, Joe, or is he favourite now?
Touching joint favourite.
Yeah, and to me, you know how I feel, and I know you don't feel this guy either, but Tiapu, for me, what I seen at Gowran lit my world. He really, that 12-length win. Flooring Porter, they're saying it's a possibility, 80%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't forget about him. Someone else was saying Classical Dream too. I thought that was
he was out for the season, yeah.
I honestly thought he was, but there seems to be, like, the stayers seems to be now, after people saying, oh, it's really boring, I can't have it. Now it looks really exciting, and you've got, it's not very clear cut. So was it an overreaction with Blazing Cal? I get him now, and it was a brilliant ride from Philip. It was a brilliant training performance for him to be off so long. But I think Tia Poo still wins the stairs. I really do.
Okay. The last one we're going to look at, Lucia. I'm going to be fairly brief on her. She's an absolutely brilliant mare. And I look at the mare's novice, and she deserves to go a favourite, but I'd love to see her in the Supreme. I hope Nicky's not that type of trainer to do that, but I hope he aims high and takes her there. Where would you like to see her?
I'd like to see her in the Supreme, Joe. I really would. I'd like to see her put it to the boys, and I think she really would. She's the Red Queen. She is just wow. That's all I can say. And Nicky was there, and he was wearing the yellow and pink, and then he was talking about her, that she's a miracle mare. She's lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
And she just kind of goes, bye boys, and she's gone. And even seeing her at the press day the next day, it took nothing out of her.
No.
She is a miracle on 4 legs. She's the Red Queen, a supreme dream if he decides to go that route. I even seen Tony Mullins tweeted he didn't want Princess Zoe looking at that performance. So everybody with the novice mares are shaking in their, fashionable but not expensive boots in that case. But I know I banged on about her, but I have to. She is just the Red Queen supreme dream. I am 100% a fan, and I'll be wearing yellow and pink. She's just, she's amazing, Joe.
She is. Hopefully we get to see her at the Cheltenham Festival either way. I hope she gets there. So touching on the action from last week, we're going to kick off now with Ascot from this week. We'll start from the 150. The Reynolds Tower Novice Chase, Grade 2, 3 miles. Very disappointed in this line. The Reynolds Tower is most years, it's normally a brilliant race. We've only got the 4 runners. We've got a 4-6 favourite, Bold Endeavour, who's clear on ratings. It's a very bad race. He should win for Nico and Nicky. Fairly straightforward start for us, Dawn. Are you in with the favourite?
I'm in with the top 2, Joe. I mean, I like this other horse. I know it's a honeymoon destination.
On a
Canedo Quitu. This isn't even French.
No.
We'll just call him KK, okay, for purposes. And Jonathan England's horse, I could not ignore his form, Joe. I couldn't. I get the Bold Endeavour because I love Fame and Glories, and because of Theatre Glory last week. When he pulled up at Aintree, Bold Endeavour, it was because he stumbled. But then he's had a 7-length win and he's had a 10-length win. He does jump right. That's the only thing, which means he's probably given away a little bit of ground, but he's still winning by lengths. To make my case for Jonathan England, the England's horse, KK, he won at Aintree on good to firm, so he should like this ground. He bet Lucinda Russell's horse, who went on and won. He bet Mumbo Jumbo and Utoxeter, who was 4th to Killer Kane and 3rd to Solo. He bet Nicky's horse, Farouk de Chenin, who was quite a good horse as well. Haven't seen him yet, but I'm thinking he's probably a summer ground horse too. So out of the 2 of them, if I wanted more value, I'd go with the England's horse. But can I split them? If Bold Endeavour
Oh, you're back.
Sorry, Joe, that's a phone call for a car. So I'm very sorry. Anyway, my point was it's between the 2 of them. I will take credit for either one of them winning, but I think if Bold Endeavour can jump right and still win with that many lengths in hand, it's his.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree. So moving to a much more competitive race now, the 225, the Grade 3 Handicap Chase 3 mile. As you say, ground is going to be key this weekend. I think it's good to firm in most places. So But my old mate Phoenix Way lines up here. He comes in on the back of a brilliant run on trials day at Cheltenham. Believe it or not, he got dropped £2 for that run, which I thought was very generous indeed.
Very, yeah.
Back down to 140, which is his last winning mark, and that came in Ascot in January 2022. I was there that day, and Kevin Brogan gave him an absolute peach of a ride. Up to 3 miles again here. I think he's just coming to the boil nicely for a big run. And Phoenix Way, I think he's about 11-2. He has been well backed. It's been found in the market. Phoenix Way would be my idea of the winner. There's some old favourites in here, old handicap favourites. You've got Danny Kerwin, Dorkin Lad, Revels Hill, Captain Ord, who seems to run every other weekend. Good old Sporting John's here for the old Philip Hobbs, 3,000 up last weekend, as you mentioned earlier. Some great each way value here, Dawn.
Great each way value, and you've forgotten one of the very, very oldies but goodies, Regal Encore, Joe. I mean, he loves Ascot. He absolutely loves Ascot, and he's 25-1. He's carrying 10-8, and Aidan Coleman's up on him. And for a Saturday, you know, your 15-year-old veteran, I was looking back through some of his form. Like, he was second to Pleasant Company. And we remember that Grand National with Tiger Roll, you know, and his last win was back in 2020 with Black Horton, and good old Might Bite was in there too. So will I have a romantic bet? Of course I will. At 15, he's evergreen. Phoenix Way, Lorcan taking 3 off. I'm with you, a 5-1. And Carl Hinchy's horse, Riders on the Storm. I will be playing that in the Bath Saturday night if he wins. You've got the Hitman form there, your beloved Hitman. And in that race, actually, Galore was third. So you've got that very nice. He was third to Put the Kettle On. He's beaten on the Blind Side. I'm mentioning more oldies but goodies here. And he was third to Master Tommy Tucker. 16-1 with Nick Scoff up. Riders on the Storm. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck in a 3-way here, but look, 50, it's 50 cent to me over here. 50 cent each way on any of the two. Phoenix Way would probably be a win, but the other two, 25s and 16s, you know, it's pocket money, but it's pocket money and it pays for, you know, your paper cup pint at Cheltenham.
Exactly that. All that to the Cheltenham Fund, doesn't it?
It does.
We move on to an equally competitive handicap hurdle now, 2 mile, 3 furlong and a half. Nichols is double-handed here, Dawn. Well, he might be treble-handed. No, double-handed. Who sticks out for you in the market? I think 9-2 bar.
Well, it's funny enough, right? I was looking at Paul Nichols and I think, yeah, Harry's up. We're only talking about, you know, his masterful rides. I like Irish Hill in this, Joe. He's a lovely grey by Kingston Hill. He won at Fakenham with Briney, New Year's Day, very easily. Half a Piece was second to him, who went on and won at Wetherby 15 days later. The lovely win, a lovely 4-length win in November at Taunton. To It's a Fury, and It's a Fury actually runs in the 4:10 at Ascot. So, you know, if you can look on at that race as well. Really like him. He's rated at 128, 4-1, which is decent, you know. The other horse I was looking at, because, you know, I always look at the Irish, Peter Fahey is sending one over, Zoffany Bay, which is an ex-French recruit as well, was with David Cotan. His last win was in Otay in March in 2021. So this is going to be his first run on, well, English soil, because Peter hasn't run him on an Irish track. He's interesting. He's only carrying 10-9 and he's 9-2. So out of the two of them, and he's by Zoffany, and Zoffany's go on that ground as well. He might not win, but he's definitely one of interest, you know. So the two of them I really, really like. Irish Hill, lovely. The form stands up beautifully. And Zoffany Bay, maybe for a bit of an education and to see what's to come.
Yeah, I've got an old favourite here, Hum Publique. I was going to put him up, but he just seems to win a race and then gets put by a handicapper, and then takes a while to get back down again before winning again. He's just a bit inconsistent, and I think he'll get found out on Saturday. I'm thinking. So the way I've gone, I'll keep looking at Samarive, Paul Nicholls' horse. Freddie Gingle's up claiming 7, which is he's well worth £7 at the minute. He's a hard horse to gauge, Samarive. He's back hurdling after 2 poor chase runs, and they were poor. He just didn't seem to enjoy chasing. So I don't know if they'll try again the next year. But back hurdling here, he hacked up off 137 his last hurdle race with good ground and finale day back in April at Sandown. 137 that was 143 here, which is the same as his chase mark. The 143 hurdle mark, it could underestimate his ability. Like I said, Freddie Gingle takes £7 off. He could be well in it, and he think he's about 16 to 1. So Samarive for me is the fantastic each way bet on Saturday. So hopefully the Paul Nicholls bandwagon continues to roll on. One of us will be happy if it does anyway, either way. Now we move on to the Ascot. It is the day's main event. It's the Betfair Ascot Chase. This has thrown up some brilliant winners in the past. The Irish are coming over. Fakir, dude, there is Pick Dory, a horse on the upgrade, who's clearly a horse going places, and Harry's really knows how to ride him. And of course, return of the Shishkin. Dawn, I'll let you take it away first. What did you fancy in the Betfair Chase, Ascot Chase?
Well, look, Shishkin baby.
You know what we want to see, whether we do see it, but we'll see.
We shall see, and we shall hope, and we shall try and manifest. But I mean, you hear silly nonsense going on that Energumene broke his heart. Have we forgotten the Clarence House last year? You know, and that fort, he wasn't disgraced. So how quickly, we talk about it a lot, Joe, how quickly people forget. Yep. Now, it obviously Nicky's not going to chance him if the ground is too hard, you know, and you wouldn't. A good horse like that, why would you? But wouldn't you only love it on the Saturday for him to do it? And that's me saying it with having a lot of emotion in Fakir Duderies, because I think he is an absolute star with what he does. And, you know, like, he's a Marsh winner. He's been treated to Allaho's bottom a couple of times. He's starting to show that he is the one who's worth talking about. I'm not sure he's going for the Ryanair, because I know you don't think he will.
No, I think they'll go plan of here, then Aintree.
I think so. I think that's the plan, Joe. People are getting really excited and having him at 5-2 or 3-1 for the Ryanair, but I think it's more entry bound for him. I loved his win in the I loved his run in the John Durkin to Galopin des Champs. That's when I thought, well, okay, it's going to be really easy for him at Turles. But as we've seen with Hoyt Colores came down crashing, and he probably would have won that day. He's going to Gowran instead, and hopefully, wouldn't it be lovely if Shishkin doesn't turn up and Fakir Duderies wins again at Ascot? That the two of them within an hour or a half an hour both win either side of the pond. A more romantic thing in me again. Joseph spoke very, very positively about him. He says he's in great form, and him and JJ, they're just a dream team together as well. So should Shishkin not turn up, Fakir Duderies for me. Pick Dory, I haven't forgotten about. He's just fantastic. But we spoke about before, he needs something to come and eyeball him.
Yeah, before we get to find out.
Exactly, and maybe we will find out on Saturday. Finally, Joe, you know, that way. He's 16s for the Ryanair. Is he going as well? I don't know, because we keep saying, are they
Nichols
going?
could have 3 or 4 going, it's right.
Exactly.
Pick Dory, couple of others.
Yeah, so should Shishkin, and I know I'm getting ready for your love letter to Shishkin now. Should Shishkin not turn up, I'm glad Fakir Duderies and Pick Dory are going to get to eyeball each other. I feel I'm probably not being fair to First Flow and Miller's Bank and I Write, but I'm not really considering them in the mix. Although Miller's Bank, I know there's only 6 in the race. Miller's Bank didn't run disgracefully at Kempton.
No.
But I think it'll be Facadudderies and Pictory if there's no Shishkin. And I do think Shishkin will be in the mix. 25-1 for the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryanair 4-1, did I say?
Pick get sevens, I think, in places. But they're shortened slightly since Allaho come out.
Yeah. So no Shishkin, Facadudderies for me.
My heart does lie with Shishkin even now, but I've been a massive fan of Pictory since we started doing the podcast this season. I've been with Shishkin ever since he won the Supreme. I think it was one of my best days at Cheltenham on the Tuesday. I know I posted 33-1. Often when he had that fine battle with Abracadabras when Davey was dancing all over him. Shishkin has been in some battles. He's hardly ever wins on the bridle, does he? Every single race he's been putting 110% in. My only concern with Shishkin this weekend is, I know you say can't be obsessed with Cheltenham. If he has a hard race here, after the issues he's had, is that going to affect his chance of victory at Cheltenham? Possibly something to keep an eye on. If the ground is going to be a bit out of his favour, we know Nicky loves his horses too much. He will not risk him whatsoever. You don't become a bad horse overnight, do you?
Absolutely not. And it kills me, Joe. It really does kill me when I see it and I see them being dug out and everything. And it's like what I always say, and it isn't me virtue signalling or being a Karen here and saying, don't be so mean to that horse. But I do feel that sometimes, because these horses, as much as we see people and the jockeys and the trainers in our sitting rooms every Saturday, as racing fans, every Saturday we sit down, we're either at the races or we're sitting down and they're in our sitting room. The horses become, like celebrities, and they make you want to watch them and get up in the morning, and there's just this kind of fandomship around them, which is fantastic. But then you kind of go, why have you now forgotten about them? I was discussing the other day, of course, about Sam Crow, and I remember in 2018 people were practically genuflecting outside his stable door. The year after, they walked past. But the year after that, he went and he won at Cheltenham. So I'm kind of going like that with Shishkin. Never forget what he has done. And a good horse, as long as there's not really bad niggly problems, will always come back. They don't lose their form. They always come back. So that's my bit of my emotional piece about why I love horses and why you shouldn't give up on them. But I'm an eternal optimist as well. And I know you're Shishkin's #1 fan. So
yeah, he's been a brilliant horse for me. And even though he's had a bit of a wind issue, they said, and his jumping wasn't great at Tingle Creek. They said he got taken off his feet and his jumping suffered. But if he couldn't breathe properly, then his jumping is going to suffer. I think defeat isn't the worst thing in the world for Shishkin if he gets outstayed slightly, because he has unfinished business in the Champion Chase. And I wouldn't write him off running it. I wouldn't be scared of backing him in the Champion Chase.
Absolutely not, Joe. And I think as well, like we're saying, well, maybe if Nicky takes the chance with him on Saturday, fair enough. But if not now, when? Because he needs to. I know I've seen there's a lot of discussion as well. Oh, we're very close to the festival. We're very close to the festival. But then on the other hand, people say, oh, we're not seeing the horses enough. So there has to be a happy medium. And I mean, we're going to find out either way. Should we see him Saturday, or, like you say, keep the faith for Cheltenham?
And I do think whoever wins this on Saturday probably goes outright favourite for the Ryanair, would you say?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
I do think regardless, if Shishkin does line up at the Cheltenham Festival, I would get this in. He is probably the Donnelly's best chance for winner that week, isn't he? Would you agree?
Absolutely not. Have you not been watching the Donnelly?
Sorry.
Excuse me? And excuse me, have you not seen the Donnelly purchase as well?
Yeah, Brandy Love, yeah.
Exactly. So
I just thought I'd get that in there.
Yellow.
Thought I'd get that in there quick.
Yeah, because you're safe because you're the other side of the pond. Just wait until Tuesday in March. Just wait.
So that's the romantic race out the way. Just hopefully we'll get a great race and they all come back safe and sound. And you can dream of Cheltenham Glory with one of the three, but hopefully it's Shishkin and could be Fakir or Shishkin for you. Over to Haydock now, the 2:05, the Rendlesham Hurdle, 3 mile and a half a furlong. Green Book heads of the market here, Dawn, 11-4. River, second favourite, 11-4. It's a fairly close market, to be fair, looking at it.
Very close, Joe. I like Green Book. I like my little bit of breeding as well, and he's by authorised. Same daddy as Tiger Roll. The weight might be a bit of an issue. That's the only thing. He's carrying 11.6, which is a bit heavy, but on that ground, you're not going to sink him either. He won 2 weeks ago, a very nice 3 mile handicap. That was good to soft, and he bet Call Me Lord, which he stayed on very well, and Call Me Lord was a good double green horse, so he's not to be sniffed at either. It's fifth to the nice guy in the Albert Bartlett. That's what I like about him too. And he was 9th to your Gelino Bello at Aintree. I know it was 9th, but still, I have Ashtown Lad down here, but he goes on the heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be silly, and he probably won't even run. But, I keep kind of thinking past Cheltenham and speaking about the Grand National and that. And I thought when he had that really, really good win in the Beecher in December, I thought he was value, and I still think he's value for the Grand National. He's 33s now, Joe, for the Grand National. So I'll just stick that in. But for Saturday at Haydock, it's Green Book for me, Venetia and Charlie.
Yeah, you've covered most of that for me on Green Book, so I fancy him as well. It's about the only horse I know of Venetia's who doesn't want to be going on heavy or soft ground. He's a bit of a one-off of Venetia's horses. But like you say, I think loads of the opposition, they need heavy or fences. There's a load of question marks about the opposition. He's pretty solid in my book. So 11-4 Green Book, I'm joining you on that one. So we now have the Grand National Trial, which is the 240, 3 mile, 4.5 furlongs. It's a proper slog. Well, normally, most years, it's a proper slog on heavy ground, like last year when the Galloping Bear beat Bristol Demai. Very different this year on the ground, Dawn. Haydock, good ground in February. What's going on?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it, Joe? Is it global warming or what the hell? We're all burning, but supposedly we're getting an early summer too, which is probably a worry. Yeah, it's a head scratcher. Bristol Demai, the double green unicorn, he was awarded the race, a year later, but that was on heavy.
Yeah.
And, j'adore that horse so much. That third in the Gold Cup a couple of years ago as well. He's just, again, he's another heart horse that people just turn up to the race course to see. Snow Leopardess is in there too. I have heard 100-1 for the Grand National. I thought she ran very well at Cheltenham in the cross country back in January. Very, very well, the working mum. And then if I'm going to be, or try to be clever about ground, I went with another Venetia and Charlie. I went with Fontaine Collage. It's a bit more pleasant on the ears this time. Forte Remastered, which I liked. And we see Remastered, has really, really come on again. And also beat the big breakaway, who is Grand National bound, in a 3 mile 1 handicap at Haydock. So, he's won a Haydock. There's a lot to like about him. He's 4-1. I think he's carrying 10-11, so not too much weight either. Fontaine Collage with the ground, I really like, and he's going to be my sensible bet. My unsensible bet is going to be the double green unicorn, and I'm still going to put it out there about the working mum, Snow Leopardess. I think she is fantastic value for the Grand National. I really do.
Okay. All the greys then for Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
I quite like the joint bottom weight, small present, Sue Smith's. Decent third on Boxing Day and Lincolnshire National. Only got beat 2.5 lengths. I think that's solid form. Down to up to 129 now, which is last winning mark. He's 2 from 3 at Haydock, which Haydock is a bit of a course, horses for courses and all that. Never ran this far, but I don't see that being an issue. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think it's going to bring out more improvement in him. He's a cracking little stayer. Yet to win over fences, 0 from 4, which is a bit of a negative. But if you're going to win one, why not go and win a big one? So Sue Smith, small present for me. Ross Chapman on board, currently around the 8-1 mark. So I think he's a cracking each way bet at Haydock. Over at Wincanton now for the Kingwell Hurdle. Small but quality field, you'd say, Dawn. I was surprised we got a field like this, especially the first 3 in the market. First Street 6-4, Nappers Hill 7-4. I like to move it 10-3, and then the outsider Global Citizen at 33s. It's going to be very, very close, isn't it?
Very close, but I think, and First Street came out of the Premier Handicap last week. I think he is the one, Joe, to beat, because he's going to go on that ground again. We're talking about ground. He's the Golden Horn. We see how well Golden Horns are doing. I watched a fantastic one, Franz Strauss, and I'm going to use the F word again at Maidan last week. He's been winning. Watch him Super Saturday. Watch him Dubai World Cup night. Franz Strauss, he's an ex-Gosden horse. He is fantastic. He's by Golden Horn. But we're talking about Wincanton. Sorry, my mind goes off into the flats sometimes. First Street, third to Maria's Rock. We know how good Marie's Rock is. New Year's. Really liked his win at Newbury in the Coral Bet when he bet Teddy Blue, who was third. He's also bet good old Mengli Khan, who is now in France doing his thing. And he's really, really, really good. And he was second to State Man in the county hurdle at Cheltenham. So you know how much I love my State Man, the Ginger Ninja. So I cannot look past First Street. I can't. And I stood at the Arc when Golden Horn won with Frankie. So I have a thing for Golden Horn, and he's supposedly going to take up the gauntlet from Kaftara now. So First Street all the way for me, Joe. I didn't think about the others.
Okay. I actually thought Nappers Hill would be favourite. He's 2 from 2 at Wincanton. Trip on the ground is perfect for him. And I like to move it. I'd ignore both their runs in the Relkill hurdle because it was a bit of a last-minute decision. The international hurdle, as we all know, got abandoned. So they were kind of like forced to go to the Relkill up in trip. Didn't think either of them, Nappers Hill or I like to move it, handled the trip very well at all. I think they're both speed horses. And Nappers Hill does worry me, as in he's going to be very tough to beat. But I've got to stick with I like to move it. Like Nigel said after the race in the Relkill, he said we tried to make a bit of a stayer out of a speed horse and it just backfired, but where else could they have gone? He's going to be back on the track he enjoys. He's going to be back on his ground, the ground he enjoys, and he's his reputation been dented a bit from Cheltenham, but he's going to be back on track on Saturday. I like to move it, and I do presume he's going to run the Champion Hurdle, which is a big ask, but he deserves to take his chance to pick up some good prize money. But this is a good prize in itself, and I do think I like to move it. He's going to win on Saturday. We're going to go across the Irish Sea now to, I've already forgotten how to say it, but Dawn did tell me how to pronounce it before we come on air. Is it? Come on.
Gowran
Park.
Yes. Yeah. You can do it with an Irish accent.
The Red Mills Chase, Dawn, it's a cracking race, isn't it?
Oh, it's a brilliant day, Joe. You know the way I banged on about the Thyestes?
Yeah.
And we did have an entry, and now the ground's gone bad, so we don't have an entry. But I love having an entry on these big days. You know, you just love it. And
what is the ground like in Ireland, if you don't mind me asking?
At the moment, it's good to soft, but we're getting a lot of rain. And that's why our girl came out, because she's more a spring summer horse.
Yeah.
So which means it's going to, with her already been taken out, and it was said to us this morning it was ground.
Yeah.
There's going to be more rain coming, which is, and when the rain gets in at Gowran, it does get in. It's very, very good track, and they look after it very well. But when the rain gets in, it gets sloppy. So at the moment it's good to soft. it could go to soft if this rain comes, they say is coming. I'd rather you had taken the rain so we could have a runner, but look, there you go. Such is life. But as for this race, it is fantastic. Capodanno.
We have got two returning seasonal debuts in the old McManus colours. Janadil, who's a good horse in his own right, and Capodanno, who we spoke about loads of times. And I hope he goes to the Gold Cup because he's got a very similar profile to Albin Photo heading into the race. And everyone knows I was Albin Photo's biggest fan. I tipped him up his post. I was on him at 33-1, a bit like Shishkin for his first Gold Cup. And then they all said he won't do it again. He had an easy pace and he went and did it again in the opposite pace. What a horse. And Capodanno's got a very, very similar profile to him. And I do think he is the fly in the ointment in the Gold Cup market. So fingers crossed he gets through Saturday. He might not win on Saturday, but he'll give it a good go. The favourite's going to be tough to beat, isn't he?
I think so, Joe. He deserves it. Like I said, he didn't deserve. You're so mean. Height and color. And I'm not even doing it in a Dublin accent. Anyway, the poor horse in the Donnelly colours that came down at Turles a couple of weeks ago when Fakir Duderies and that great picture, JJ just looking over and giving that grin as poor Brian Cooper was doing a dive. Anyway, that horse deserves to win. He really, really does. He's due a good one. Otherwise, they're going to say he's like that other poor horse that we see has made the bloody, they make the memes about still, that Asterian Calange. Yeah, that poor horse. I feel sorry for him all the time. And look, Height and Colors, he was fourth in the John Durkin, and I thought he ran a really good race that day. He's beaten Gentleman to Me, who we've seen was fantastic at Dublin Racing Festival, and he was sixth to Edwardstone in the Arkle. So I mean, he is a good horse. He's 16s. We were talking about the Stayers earlier. He's 16s for the Stayers. Should he win on Saturday, he won't be 16s anymore, I don't think, Joe.
I think he's going to be supplemented for the. He's supplemented for the Rhino. He has, hasn't he?
Has he been supplemented? Well, maybe
he's got to be supplemented. Sorry.
Okay. Well, maybe after, when they see what he can do, please God, everything goes right for him on Saturday this time. He deserves it. Capodanno, I'm delighted to see him out. Jody McGarvey is up on him. He's 5-1. I thought he would have been bigger, but then again, his last win was at the Punchestown Festival, beating Lifetime Ambition. Thought he was excellent. That day, Fury Road was third, and we heard Gordon this week saying that Fury Road has a decent chance in the Ryanair as well. And I kind of listened to that because the way he ran at Dublin Racing Festival, I thought he was excellent. Good old Durasso, he's out as well. Should it not come up too soft, he'll run a really good race. It was just when he ran against Echoes and Rain a couple of weeks ago, it's too soft for him. Too soft for him. And like he's been second to Ewick as well, so I want the favourite to win. He deserves it. He really, really does. I want Capodanno to show us what he's made of so I can get more belief in him for the Gold Cup. And Durasso, I'd really, really like to see him do well as well. So I know I'm kind of picking at nearly all of them. I haven't mentioned the other two. Janadil I never got. I don't know why. And good old Battle Over Doyen. He's a cool dude of a horse, and I think there's still a big day left in him. I don't think it's Saturday though. So Height and Colors for me.
So Janadil, back in a few years, April 21, he won the big race at Easter. Very else it was. Yeah, the Novice Chase. Do you know the one I mean?
Yeah, and everybody
looking
went
at the horses
bonkers
behind him. Steering Phalanges behind him. Franklin Port, Conflated, January Jets, Andy Dufresne. I mean, the form's rock solid, but I don't know what's happened since then. He's just completely fallen off a cliff. So for me, I won't be having a bet in the race as such, but it's just nice to see some contenders back on the race course. So that concludes the ITV action. Dawn, have you got anything else for the Sunday or later on in the card?
Yeah, we've got the Grand National Trials Day, which Det Duty won last year. So we've got you've got your trials day. We've got ours on Sunday. You've got Farclas out, Cocoa Beach, who we seen ran fantastic in the Thyestes. Your boy,
Defy Blue,
yeah, your boy, Captain Kangaroo. Watch him. I think there is a massive race in him. And I think the Grand National is the main aim with him. Well, obviously, if he's going in a trial. But Captain Kangaroo, I have a feeling something big's coming. Angel's Dawn, that good mare we seen win a couple of weeks ago by Yates. Good, hardy mare. Love her. She was second at Punchestown. Then she went and won a couple of weeks later. Love her. Early Doors, Dunboyne is out. Punitive is out. You know, they're all out to play. I think it's going to be a really, really good Grand National trial. Saja, good old Saja is out at Gowran as well. Mellon won that race last year. So, you know, it's kind of, it'd be nice to see that boy back, because he's been treated to State Man's bottom the last 2 times. And I know Patrick Mullins had said after the Morgiana that, you know, he's better than the way he ran. Now, obviously, his crown was shoved off him. Leopardstown, State Man had pushed the crown off. State Man's good at that, pushing off crowns, you know. So just saying. So Saj is out and Phil Dore is out, and I think people are forgetting Phil Dore. I know we're all obsessed about the Triumph Hurdle curse, but I was going through the betting. He's 50s for the Turners. He's 25s for the Arkle. Why have we given up on him? You know, I seen him, they was a video up on social media of them all out working. He was out front. I thought he looked fantastic. And again, like I say, how quick we forget. So I think I wouldn't give up on Phil Dore. And then one more thing, Quavega Day, next Wednesday, we got Brandy Love in her new colours. We've got Princess Zoe back out. She wears it well, who I really, really love for the Clonsutton crew. And Queen's Brook is out too, who I adored last year. I thought she was fantastic. Whiskey Lullaby as well for Henry de Bromhead. But I've stolen a day for myself to go up and just enjoy these lovely mares, enjoy every one of them. But I am so excited to see Brandy Love back out.
Okay, so that's everything that to throw at you this weekend. What do you want to see this weekend? It would be your strongest selection
over the whole weekend, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh God, what do I want to see, or what would be value to me? Either. Okay, what I'd love to see, should Shishkin not turn up, Fakir Duderies to win 2 of the Ascot chases on the bounce. I think he will do it, and I agree with you. He's going straight to Aintree, and I want to see Haydock and Colors get his day in the sun, and to have the 2 of them either side of the pond doing what they do would be fantastic. So I know you're not going to get a lot of value out of either of them, but I'm not here for the value. I'm here for the horses. So either side of the pond in the space of an hour, Fakir Duderies wins his race, Haydock and Colors wins his race. Perfect. I'm happy. And then you were saying about me loving the greys. I like my race horses like I like my men. So a couple of greys thrown in there, I'm happy. I'm a happy person. So Fakir Duderies, Haydock and Colors.
I'd love to see Shishkin win, just to shut his doubters up. But as long as he returns back safe, that's all that matters. So thanks for watching, everyone, and happy punting this weekend. And we'll see you next weekend. Thanks, everyone.